Governor McAuliffe on the line?
Hello,
Governor,
John.
are you there? Governor, are you there? You're on with...
I'm glad you were two of the greatest members of Congress to ever walk the halls.
We heard you wanted to crash the that we've got going on right now in Bobby Scott's office, Congressman Scott's office. So, Governor, thanks for being with us.
You bet. Great to be with you today. Historic day.
It is, sir, no doubt. And let's get to what really matters, which is our long-standing wager.
Yes, sir.
My wife, Andy Fräulein, is right here, and she's excited that we won the first bet that we made, dinner at the governor's mansion with yourself and the First Lady.
And I believe I won the second bet, which allows dinner wherever I choose.
Yes, you did win
All
the
right.
second bet. And so that
And
everybody
listen,
knows.
we're working it out. We're going to have you here. We're going to have some fun. It was a great election, and we're all together now going forward.
Right, and so everybody knows what the first bet was, Trump or Clinton winning. I won that. That's why I'm in Washington today, and Governor McAuliffe is in Richmond. Just saying. But Governor...
First of all, I'm working.
Bet.
The taxpayers elected me to get things done. I got a full schedule here today. I'm going to announce some jobs today.
Look, what we need jobs. That's what this
right.
administration's about. And the second bet, Congressman Scott and Congressman Whitman, it might be on the line, that the governor won is he crashed our Election Day party live from Trump Tower. And actually, he was on like 15 minutes before Mr. Trump was there. And we made a second bet that he would win Virginia, and he gave me 5. And so the over and under was 5, so I took Trump plus 5, lost that, so that's why we owe him that. And you clobbered me by 220,000 votes in Virginia. In fact, I lost so bad that the only way I could even get to the inauguration is by coming to Congressman Scott, because my tickets, after I got beat in Virginia so bad by you, they were behind Hawaii.
Yeah.
Governor.
Well, I did see Kellyanne Conway the other day, and she did congratulate me on a great win that we had in Virginia. I said, well, that was one. It wasn't enough on the Electoral College, but it was fun. So whenever you want, John, where I pay off my bets, I'm a man of my word.
Well, you know what? My father always told me, no matter what's going on, pay your gambling debts first, and that way things tend to work out in life. If you don't, bad things happen. So thank you for that. Let's just get to this inauguration. I know we've got about 10 minutes here. Governor, how do you think you might be able to work with the Trump administration in being able to bring jobs and economic growth to Virginia?
Yep. Well, listen, today is a historic day. It is a peaceful transfer of power. This is something in 1997. I remember I chaired President Clinton's inauguration. And I got to tell you, there is nothing like an inauguration day, the pomp, the circumstance. You see all of our armed forces, all of our military personnel. I mean, it really is something special. It makes you just another reason why we're the greatest nation on earth, and it just makes us so proud. So I wish Mr. Trump well today. And as I've said, the day after he was elected, I sent him up a note. Look forward to working with you, Virginia, and as Congressman Whitman and Scott know very well, you know, we got issues on sequestration. Let's work together. Let us increase funding for our great Navy, which is important to us here in Virginia. Let's end sequestration. And he's interested in $1 trillion infrastructure to fix our roads and bridges, and I am all in on that. So there's a lot of places that, of course, as you know, I've known Mr. Trump now for President-elect, about to be President Trump. I've known him for 20 years. He actually gave me a check in 2009 for $25,000 when I ran for governor. And listen, I'm looking forward to a long working relationship. I also now serve as chairman of the National Governors Association, so I will have a lot of dealings with our new president, and there's a lot of issues here. And let's get together. It's all about the economy. It's all about jobs, something I focus on here in Virginia, and I'm looking forward and to have an ally in the White House to make sure we continue to bring those jobs back to America, and I want them all in Virginia. Forget those other 49 worthless states.
Well, see, now that I told him a few months ago that $25,000 that he donated to your campaign in 2009, I'm like, that was really the best $25,000, sir, you ever spent. Because
what did he say?
He said, I like him. He's a go-getter. That's what he said. He said you were a go-getter. So I said,
until he ran for president, he always used to say I was the best governor in America.
I know, he likes you.
Yeah, I've had a long relationship with him. Yeah. And as you know, I've been friends with the Clintons for 40 years. I mean, I
Right.
worked hard, but at the end of the day, elections have consequences. People of Virginia elected me to get things done and work with whoever the president is, regardless of political parties. So I got up the next day, and people say, "Whoa, how are you going to deal with all this?" And people say, "I don't know if I can go on." If I can get up the next day after my relationship and dust myself off, everybody else can. This is about America. Let's get together. I'm not a Democratic or Republican governor. I am a Virginia governor. He is president of the United States of America, and let's get it on.
All right. If everybody has that attitude, like yourself and Congressman Scott, I think we have an opportunity to be successful. Before I get to the Congressman, I've got one Virginia-specific question, then we get to your agenda. Governor, as you know, the Certificate of Public Need, it's coming up again. That's a topic my listeners are familiar with. I've discussed it with you on air many times and discussed it with many members of the General Assembly on the air. In all those conversations, Governor, I still haven't heard a legitimate argument from anybody for COPN repeal. Not one. That's because I don't think there is one. And look, I'm a free market guy, but the hospital industry and the health industry is not a free market. And when government tells hospitals they have to treat patients that they can go to the emergency room without COPN, it's going to destroy rural hospitals. We've already had one close in Southwest Virginia. Some others are on the chopping block. If this comes through, is this something you are going to veto?
Well, I don't signal ahead of time till it gets to me because they still have to get through the committees. Both it has to be done in the House and the Senate. The argument on the other side, of course, John, is what they make the argument on the other side is the free enterprise and competition is good. It will bring costs down. On the other side, as you rightfully make the point, there are services that will be eliminated, and it could cause some hospitals tremendous angst and financial problems. Listen, I come out of a business background. I love competition, but at the end of the day, we got to make sure that the infrastructure we have in place to provide health care is there for everybody in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and that's where I will come down. Should there be, and I don't want to signal what I'm going to do, but I'm just talking out loud, should there be some reforms to COPN? Absolutely. Should we get rid of COPN? I think we'd have to look very carefully at that because of the points that you raised. But anything we have, we can make better, John. I think you agree, and I think that's the way I come at this legislation as I do at every piece of legislation that comes to me.
Okay, so just to be clear, that means if COPN deregulation comes up again, you're going to take a hard look at it and take into consideration that repeal even pieces of COPN. Like now they have this thing where they says, well, we're just going to carve it out from the regional hospitals. Well, then the competitors that cherry pick the profitable services just move 6 feet over the line.
That's right. I understand the argument completely, and I am going to, as governor, I have got to protect the safety net of our Commonwealth. We have a healthy workforce, allows me to bring jobs to the Commonwealth, and anything that would in any way be detrimental to the health care of our citizens, I will be very carefully and look at that with a very careful eye, I promise you.
Well, I agree with the governor. If you have, some of these services are very expensive, and you have a limited number of people that need the service. If you double the number of hospitals in the same area given the service, all you've done is double the cost. And if you're trying to restrain costs, the certificate of need is a very powerful tool. It ought to be used judiciously. But if it's total free market where everybody can set up any service they want, the cost cannot be restrained.
That's right. Yep. I think we're all in agreement.
Governor, you want to share with our listeners and the Congressman and I your legislative agenda now, seeing the 2017 General Assembly in action for about a week. What are your top priorities, sir?
Well, the one thing, obviously, everything relates around economic development. We've had tremendous success. We're up to $14.3 billion of new capital projects I've announced, which I'm very proud of. $5 billion more than any governor in the history of the Commonwealth. We have seen unemployment go from 5.4 all the way down to 3.7, which is the steepest drop in 32 years. We're hovering about 4.2 today, which is about 1.2% less than when I came in. So we've made great progress. So jobs, reform and education. But I do have two big items that we're dealing with this year, John. Number one is the opiate crisis that we have. We lost 1,000 Virginians last year due to the opiate crisis that we have. So we have to do something about that. Number two, behavioral health and mental health issues we have in the Commonwealth. We are not doing what we need to do to take care of these people. And so I've put a lot more money into the issues of mental health, behavioral health, as well as dealing with this opiate crisis that we have. In addition to that, obviously, what we're trying to do is to make sure we have the best state in America to bring jobs back. I'm about to make some major announcements. On February 1st, I have a major California company that is going to relocate to the Commonwealth of Virginia, and right behind it, I have a lot more exciting news. So we're on a roll here. Let's work together. Keep all the socially divisive stuff out of the way. Let's work together. We are the greatest state and the greatest nation on earth. I'm almost beginning to feel bad for those other 49 states.
Governor, are you going to share with us who that company might be, or
on February 1st?
You'll share that on February.
Oh yeah,
1st.
We'll have a big announcement there. I'm very excited. I just got back from California on a trip, and but February 1st. And then I've got some gigantic ones. I've got about $5.5 billion worth of projects I'm trying to bring over the goal line. I mean, we got some really exciting stuff in the pipeline. It's exciting. I'm always excited, but I'm really excited.
John, let me just say that we're going to be working together on a federal and state cooperation on the opioid crisis. It's a national crisis. Late last year, we passed legislation called the CARA Act, which puts a lot of money into effective prevention and early intervention services for those addicted. And we also have, with the Affordable Care Act, an essential service is mental health services, which includes drug rehabilitation. That puts a lot of money into the issue. Everybody with health insurance has access to drug rehabilitation, so that we can work very effectively with the state dealing with the opioid crisis. And so I look forward to working with the governor on that, see if we can even do more from a federal basis.
Governor, the Republicans.
This is a rural issue. This is not a rural issue. This is a Commonwealth issue. I mean, Hampton Roads, Northern Virginia, Richmond. I mean, every part of our Commonwealth. I mean, I get a weekly report from the state police, and the list is getting longer and longer. Injury, death, 21 years old, 26 years old. This is an epidemic that is hitting our country. We have this new drug, fentanyl, highly addictive, very cheap, highly addictive, that comes in from China. And we're doing everything we can, but we literally, this is really not only costing our Commonwealth a lot of money, it's also really affecting our workforce today, because many of our individuals are now getting addicted.
Governor, it appears the Republicans in Congress are going to repeal the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. We don't know what they're going to replace it with. President-elect Trump has said it needs to repeal and replace at the same time. We've got many Virginians right now that have fallen through, as you've noted many times, the Medicaid gap. If Obamacare is replaced, how does that impact Virginia, the economy? What happens?
Well, it depends what they replace it with. And this, I mean, some are there talking about eliminating the tax. If you get rid of that, then you've eliminated the whole program. I mean, there was a very good story in the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Michael Marks wrote that the other day. You're looking upwards from $300 to $600 million that Virginia would lose. I'm not talking about expansion. We've already forfeited $8 billion from that. That's gone. I never get that back. But from our existing provider, prescription drug reimbursements and so forth, hundreds of millions of dollars. I would literally have to call a special session back sometime this summer to deal with it, if they eliminate it and they don't replace it with what we are existing today. Now, this is a big issue. As I say, I chair the National Governors Association. We're working very closely. We don't know. None of us know what they're going to do yet. But I do know that the Republican governors in America have taken a very, very strong stand with their Republican members in Congress to say, please work with us. There's such severe consequences if we don't do this right. So, listen, I'll be the first to tell you, we needed a lot of reforms to take it to the next level and fix things, but just to eliminate it and throw the millions of people out on the street without health care is very problematic. And Virginians should know that hundreds of millions of dollars that are today in the budget that I have presented will go away, and that will really cause us problems.
And John, I think it's important to notice not just the 20 or 30 million people that lose insurance, it's everybody else, because costs could spiral out of control, and we don't know what would have. I think you and I are in agreement that if you're going to repeal it, you have to replace it at the same time. We don't know what the replacement is going to look like until then. You can't evaluate what's going to happen, but any suggestion that you can repeal without a replacement would create total chaos, not just for 20 million people that lose insurance, but for everybody else that may not be able to afford insurance.
Governor, we've only got a couple more minutes. I know you got to take off. So I've been in Washington since Sunday, so I've been here for the whole week doing my show. So I go up to National Harbor. I go by the MGM, the new MGM Grand Casino, right? No, I didn't. I mean, I'm a radio talk show host. I can't go, but I did go check it out. So let me tell you, I go and park my car one night. 90% of the license plates there say Virginia.
Yep.
They say Virginia. So Virginians are driving over the bridge and spending the money at that casino rather than in Virginia. We already lost our racetrack. I asked the speaker about this, and he said, sure, we'll get a casino in Virginia over my dead body. So as governor, can't you put this issue in the forefront? Because people are going to gamble in Virginia no matter what you do. All they're doing now is just going over the line. It's crazy.
Well, it's Maryland. Let's be honest. It's West Virginia. I mean, all of our neighbors.
Delaware?
Yeah, they all have it. And you're right. The General Assembly will never pass it, but it is clear. You do hear that gigantic sucking sound every single day. In fact, it's funny you say that. I got a report the other day. There are people actually over there have been counting the cars and looking. They're all Virginia license plates.
That's what I'm saying. Every single one of them.
Over there. I mean, listen, we have the lottery here, which is a form of gambling. And, everybody loves the education money that's generated from that. But this is clearly in the House of Delegates, a General Assembly issue that relates to the issue of gambling. I, of course, come from a position I would like to see every possible source of income that we can get in the Commonwealth. I'd like to see us stop it going to any other state in America. Of course, I want everything here. And we ought to look at every avenue and opportunity. But let's be clear, John, we talk about that, but we have forfeited $7.9 billion in the last couple of years, whether you liked Obamacare or not, it really didn't matter. We could get 100% of our taxpayer money back to Virginia. 16 Republican governors, including the most conservative in America, did it. And here we let $7.9 billion of our money. That's a lot of money to run through our economy, let me tell you that.
Governor McAuliffe, can you tell me how many jobs you could create with that kind of money?
Hundreds of thousands. And think of what we could do in creating a better health care provider. 400,000 Virginians would get health care. It would bring costs down for everybody. But we do forfeit $2.4 billion a year. This is our money with no liability to the state. None. I structured a waiver last year, would never touch the state. Even with that, 100% of your money back. And it's just unfortunate. And I know John may not be big, but for me, let me tell you this, $7.9 billion, that's direct. Can you imagine the indirect in the hospitals and healthcare providers of that turbocharging of the multiplier effect of that kind of money coming into our state? So, I mean, we talk about the gaming money, John. Everybody sat back, and we got 100% of our taxpayer money back, and we decided not to let it come back to Virginia. And as I say, 16 Republicans. The new Vice President of the United States of America, Michael Pence, took the money. John Kasich. I saw Governor Kasich recently at an event. He looked to me like I had 10 heads and said, "You're not bringing your own money back? That's the dumbest thing I ever heard." But it is what it is, and even without that, our economy is really, we're moving up. We've had 4% growth through the year on our budget, and we just got to keep it going.
Okay, we're just about out of time here, but talking about bringing things back to Virginia, we know you're the deal maker. You're the guy that gets things in. Redskins Stadium, Virginia. How does it look? You got a deal on the table?
Mr. Snyder and his team, I talked to him recently. If we can structure a deal, no taxpayer money involved, if we can come back and do it through some development rights in Northern Virginia, we are open to looking at that. I mean, they don't have to move, John, till 2027. Or their lease expires out there in Maryland. So the Redskins know what type of, 66%, as you know, of the revenue comes from Virginians. We're a majority of the season ticket holders. I mean, we're 8.5 million people. I love D.C., but they're about 630,000 people, and Maryland's about 5 million. We should have them, but it has to be a deal that works for us. Just like the deal in Northern Virginia I just structured. on outside the Beltway. This was a project that was going to cost taxpayers $1 billion. We renegotiated the whole deal. We're Aubrey Lane, my Secretary of Transportation. Not one penny of taxpayer money will now be used on a $2.1 billion road. They are writing us a check for $500 million. It is a shift to $2.5 billion. We save taxpayers. That's how I like to do deals. And if they want to do something with us, then great.
Could we see a potential Terry McAuliffe for president campaign 2021?
Only if Bobby Scott is my running mate.
That would be a powerful ticket, right?
Yeah.
McAuliffe Scott.
It also violates the Constitution. Two people from the same state.
It does violate
It's
the
a good idea. It's a good idea, Terry.
That's why our
Thank you,
show
buddy.
is so educational.
All right,
I didn't
everybody,
know
good
that.
luck today. Thanks
All
for
right, we're out of
talking
time.
up there, John.
All right, sir. Thank you. We're going to be in the front row.
All Virginia, FBI headquarters, bring it to Virginia, end sequestration. We need some more aircraft carriers and more nuclear subs. That's all I want you to say to him.
I also want to tell him you're not going to be running in opposition to him in 2021. Can I tell him that?
You get me to FBI headquarters, a couple more aircraft carriers, I'll say whatever you want me to say, buddy.
Governor McAuliffe, we're out of time. Thanks for being with us,
Thanks, everybody.
as always, and thanks for the dinner. We look forward to that. And Congressman Scott, always interesting. I knew he couldn't go 20 minutes without bringing Medicaid expansion up. I just knew it.